So how do you take a story that's over 100 years old, one that's packed with dated slang and references nobody gets anymore, and make it click for a whole new generation? That's exactly what we're going to dive into by looking at a really fascinating case study, the modernization of the 1915 classic Tom Slade, Boy Scout.
Okay, so the first place you'd probably start is the language, right? It's the most obvious thing. The original book is full of this really thick slum kid dialect. You can see it right here. The 1915 version says, "You get your hand all dirty with coal." The editor for the new 2026 version cleans that right up to something we can all easily read. "You'll get your hand all dirty with coal." Seems pretty straightforward, just a necessary fix.
But here's the real question we have to ask. Is that it? Is it really that simple? Do you just find and replace some old-timey dialect and call it a day? Or does it take something way deeper to actually bridge that massive gap between 1915 and today? Well, as we're about to find out, the real magic here goes so much further than just cleaning up the words.
To get it, we've got to start by understanding the original problem. See, the 1915 Tom Slade wasn't just a book. It was actually a novelization of a silent film, and it was created as a promotional tool for the Boy Scouts of America. And that origin story, well, it created some pretty big hurdles for anyone trying to read it today. So beyond that heavy dialect we just talked about, the story has some bigger issues. Because it was based on a silent movie script, a photoplay they called it, the settings are super vague, almost like stage directions. The whole plot feels kind of boxed in by its movie roots, and it's just loaded with cultural references that are completely lost on us now. So it doesn't just sound old, it feels thin. So what was the editor's brilliant solution for this 2026 update? Well, instead of just cleaning up the text, they made a really critical decision to anchor the entire story in a specific, historically accurate time and place. They chose 1939 Billerica, Massachusetts, and they started weaving in real-world details to give the story some serious weight and texture. This technique is what we're going to call historical anchoring. It's basically the process of taking all those generic, script-like elements from the original and swapping them out for concrete, real details from a specific historical period. Let's look at 3 quick case studies to see just how this completely transforms the story. Okay, first up, the town library. Sounds like a simple setting, right? But with one tiny change, the editors use it to dramatically crank up the story's central conflict about social class. In the 1915 original, the Boy Scouts just meet at the library building. That's it. It's just a place. But in the modernized version, they meet at a very specific place, the Bennett Public Library. Now that name, it's not random. Not at all. And this is where the editor gets really clever. They add this new backstory. The library was actually a gift to the town from the wealthy Bennett family all the way back in 1880. And that one detail connects the building directly to Tom Slade's rival, the rich kid Connor Bennett. And boom, this shows you the power of historical anchoring. Suddenly, the library isn't just a building. It's a symbol of the Bennett family's power and legacy. And Tom, the mucker, the troublemaker from the slums, is finding his way, his redemption, inside a monument built by the family of the very kid he resents. It just perfectly reinforces that melting pot theme of the story by literally putting the have-nots right inside the world of the haves.
All right, now for our second case study, the Boy Scout camp. Here, we're going to see how a similar change makes the world feel so much more immersive and real. The 1915 version sends the boys off to some made-up place called Salmon River Grove. It could be literally anywhere. The 2026 version, though, sends them to a very real place, Reed's Ferry, New Hampshire. And the editor didn't stop there. The book actually specifies that in 1939, Reed's Ferry was just a 1-hour train ride from their hometown of Billerica. This isn't just some random flavor text. It's a verifiable, historical, and geographical fact. They did their homework. What this change does is transform the camp from this kind of vague backdrop into a real, tangible destination. The journey feels like an actual trip that kids in 1939 New England would have really taken. It grounds their whole adventure in reality, which makes it way more believable and engaging for all of us reading it today.
For our last case study, let's look at the antagonists, the rivals. The editor uses the exact same technique of historical anchoring to give the Scouts a much sharper, more specific enemy to go up against. So, in the original, the rival baseball team is just some generic prep boys. Mr. Ellsworth asks if their pitcher can beat that pitcher the prep boys have got. But in the updated version, the rival is named that pitcher the prep boys over at Mitchell Military have got.
So why is this so effective? Well, you probably guessed it. Mitchell Military School wasn't made up. It was a real, prominent school right there in Billerica during the 1930s. So for anyone who knows the local history, that reference would immediately click.
It's like one analysis put it, this detail basically serves as an Easter egg for readers familiar with local history. It's a really clever nod that rewards people who are in the know, and for everyone else, it just adds this awesome layer of authenticity.
This change gives our heroes a much sharper bad guy to face, and it's another perfect example of moving the story away from that vague, script-like feeling of the original and into a world that feels lived in, textured, and truly anchored in a real past.
So, when you put all these changes together, what's the final result? What did the editor actually achieve here? Well, it's something way more significant than just cleaning up some old language.
The editor's real success is in adding what you might call cultural scaffolding. That's what was missing. These historical anchors provide all the context a modern reader needs to actually connect with the story and understand the world it's set in. And you can actually see how our view of this book has evolved over time. Back in 1915, it was seen as a propaganda tool for the Boy Scouts. Decades later, critics were calling it the weakest book in the series because of its movie plot origins. But now, it's being rediscovered as a forgotten gem, even with that really challenging dialect. The new edition just builds on all that potential.
And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. The goal of this whole modernization project wasn't to erase the past or to make a story that feels like it was written today. The goal was to build a clearer, more richly textured window into 1915 by using the solid foundation of 1939. By giving us this historical context, the editor lets a classic story not just be read, but be truly seen and understood. It kind of makes you wonder, what forgotten story from your own past deserves a new window?